Meet me. Welcome back, boys, to, I guess, a guide video. It's more a viewer question answer, but I thought it was a really great question, and I think it'll help really new players out. If you're an established player, just click off this video. You don't need this. You know this. But let me just read the question that he asked me. Hey, Dr. Squirrel, I'm a new player and recently found your videos. Hope you don't mind me messaging you, blah, blah, blah. You have a lot of guides, and it's pretty overwhelming. What would you say is the most important thing to keep in mind as a new player? Are there any missables in this game or anything that I really need to watch out for to make sure that I don't permanently screw up my account? I'm really enjoying the game and I really don't want to have to re-roll all over again because I screwed something up like I have in other gachas in the past. This is a really good question because a lot of gachas are like this, right? Where it's like, oh, you re-rolled the wrong starting units, just uninstall, you're done. Like a lot of games, unfortunately, are like that. Luckily, I don't think E7 is one of them, but there is a very clear answer to that question, right? So let's just get right into it. We're going to break it down into topics. So topic number one will be, what is the biggest mistake and why? Topic number two will be, where to get molas, which kind of tells you the answer to number one, right? Topic number three will be, how do I min-max mola use? And topic number four will be, how do I know which heroes are worth molas and how many do I put in? Let's get started. Okay, so topic number one is, what is the biggest mistake and why? The topics gave it away. The biggest mistake you can make in Epic 7 is poor Mola use. Now, if you're a new player in the beginning, as you're doing adventure, you're going to get a lot of Molagoras, and it's very easy to make the mistake of just dumping them into whatever units you have as you're trying to get to level 60 and progress through adventure. This is a terrible beginner's trap and a huge mistake. So for all you newer players out there, kind of to address the original question, no, there's no real missables in the game. You don't have to worry about missing something that you can't get later on. But the thing about Molagoras is, unlike everything else in the game like gold or sky stones or whatever, Molagoras are time gated, which means there's only a certain amount you can buy every week. And that's even for whales. Even the players who buy packs, there's a limit to how many you can buy. So you'll always be constrained by it. You can't really go and just buy a million packs to fix this problem. You just can't. So we'll get into how to get them in the next section. But the thing is, with Molagoras, you have to be very careful about how to use them. And the heroes that you put them into better be worth it, because this is a very easy way to torpedo your account. If you put all your Molagoras early into useless heroes that you'll never use again, you're going to really struggle in this game because you're not going to be able to compete in the harder PvE content or even in PvP against other players, because all your units will be very neutered, because Molagoras are very, very important to making the units in this game strong. So the key things to take away from this section is, don't worry about any other mistakes. Like, new players are always asking, like, oh my god, what hero do I 6-star? You know, stuff like that. Or like, what hero do I 6-star? Well, I'll tell you what, as an endgame player, what's going to happen is you don't care what to 6-star because it's so easy to 6-star units. I have like 700,000 stigma, which means I can get infinite phantasmas and penguins. Leveling up and 6-starring units, if you screw it up, very easy to recover from. Or they'll be like, oh my god, Dr. Squirrel, I have these pieces of gear, what should I upgrade? It doesn't matter. I mean, if you screw it up, you can just unlock it and use it to enhance something else. You'll lose some efficiency. But the thing is, everything else in the game, the mistakes are easy to recover from. Are they going to hinder your progress a little bit? Yeah, if you're playing super inefficiently all the time, it's going to slow you down a little bit, but it's very easy to recover from. But recovering from poor Molagora usage is borderline impossible, and the only real answer to fix that is to just tell you you're going to have to wait months. And that's really not a good solution to someone who's trying to progress. So the biggest mistake to avoid is poor Molagora use. And let's move on to the next sections to talk about how to use them right. All right, so let's talk about the most important source of Molagoras. Then we're going to talk about some that only apply really to new players. But the main way established players get Molagoras is every single week, even as a new player, make sure you buy the 2 Molagoras from the Transmit Stone shop, and then buy the Molagora C, which is the same thing as a Molagora, you just use it in the Forest of Souls, from the Conquest Point shop, and absolutely make sure that you join a guild as quickly as possible and buy the seed in the member shop. They're all cheap. I guess the hardest one is the Silver Transmit one, but just transmit a bunch of useless 3-star heroes. It's very easy. Those are the 4 you need to be getting every single week to not fall behind. As a new player, there's always this event banner called, it'll say event. You click on it, make sure you're doing this every day, because when you're done, they always give you like a Molagora somewhere within the rewards. Like here, you get one for 25 points and one for 45 points. And those are the most common sources of recurring Molas. The other one is there's always a side story going on, right? And in the side story, one of the rewards is always going to be a Molagora. Like whether it's like this in the Reputation tab, or it'll be a special map called like Molagora Boss or something like that, where you kill it and you'll get a Molagora. Or there'll be one in the exchange shop where you can actually buy one Molagora. The number you can buy is always really small because Smilegate Molagora Habitat, that's what I mentioned before. The number of Molagoras you can get is always really small because Smilegate is trying to limit the number of heroes that you can build. So that's the most common source of kind of repeat Molas you can get that all established players are doing all the time to slowly build out their Mola pool. But as you can see, it wasn't that much, right? It looks like maybe around like 5 to 7 Molas a week you can get doing that at most. As a newer player, you're going to be clearing Adventure. Make sure you 3-star all of them, and a lot of times the max reputation reward or the region reward will be a Molagora seed. So in the very beginning, you're going to be swimming in Molas, and you're going to be like, oh, it's so easy to get these Molas, I'm just going to invest it into whatever. Do not screw that up. Do not waste those, because they flow in the beginning, but it turns into a trickle at the end. Getting Molas after you finish Adventure and finish your Adventurer's Path thing, I don't have it because it's done, is very, very difficult, so you absolutely don't want to waste them. So I'm not going to talk too much more about that. The most important thing is buy the 4 every single week from the shop and the Guild Wars tab. Never miss it, or you can potentially torpedo your account. Let's move on to the next topic. All right, so I think I screwed up the topic. So topic number 3 will be, how do I know which heroes are worth Molas? Because it makes more sense to talk about that before we talk about min-maxing. So, I said that you could torpedo your account by using Molas wrong. So the obvious question a new player will have is, well, Dr. Squirrel, how do I know how I'm using them right? How do I know how to use them right if you're telling me not to use them wrong? And the answer is simple. As a newer player, the first thing you're going to want to do is make a decent PvE squad. Luckily, a lot of good PvE units do not actually need any Molas at all. So things like Adventurer Raz, or things like Angelic Montmorency. 3-star bases don't need any Molas, so if you're really paranoid, focus on building the good ones first, like Angelic Montmorency, Doris, things like that. Save your Molas until you're really sure you want to use it on a hero. Now, to find out what heroes are worth it, I would say browse through my channel or browse through any other person's channel and look at the best PvE heroes first. I'll tell you right off the bat, your main goal will be Wyvern 13. You can make a fully F2P Wyvern 13, but if you have this hero, Sigrid, she's legendary for Wyvern, you're going to want to Mola this one. And you don't need to Mola the S2. We'll talk more about deciding what skills to Mola. But you're going to want to build out a decent PvE kit first to really accelerate your growth in the game. So the main 2 I would say for new players is Tamarind. She is amazing in every PvE content, but you only really need 1 Mola in this hero, the S3. I put a little more because I like her. And Sigrid. Sigrid, you're going to want to Mola her S1 and S3. But going beyond these 2 very beginner heroes, you're going to want to start doing PvP, right? So let's give some general guidelines on how to use Molas. So for damage units, things like Ravi or things like Rem, things that do damage, typically, if you're going to use them a lot, the goal is most of the time to max out all of their DPS skills. And very often, even their passives. So you're going to find that most people that have plus 15, which is the maximum number of molas you can use, are all in their damage units. Because like these last damage mods are always bigger than the previous one. You're going to see 5, 5, 10, 15. So you really want to get to that final damage mod, because without it, you do a lot less damage. Now there are things called utility heroes and like healers. So for newer players, those are the heroes that are using to heal or apply debuffs or cleanse. Heroes that aren't doing damage. Typically for those kind of units, all you really need is to get the skill cooldown reduction on their most important skill. So for Tamarin, it's obviously her S3. For something like DN, it would just again be the -1 turn cooldown, so you're going to see that it requires 2 molas into the S3 or 2 skill ups into the S3. And for her S2, it requires 3 into the S2. And I put more molas into her because I used her a lot, but you really don't have to. So in general, for any utility heroes as a new hero, you only want to get enough to get the turn cooldown reduction on their primary abilities. And that's, don't put any more. As you get more experience, if you PvP a lot, sometimes you're going to find that even on your healers, you want that little bit of extra damage because you draft them so much, then it's fine. But anytime you're putting more than the minimum amount of molas into a utility hero, like F10A, you really don't need any more than +3 in her S3. I put more because I used her a lot, but typically you don't want to waste them. So just to recap those general rules, how do you know which heroes are worth molas? How many molas do you put in? For bruiser heroes, you're going to want to put max molas to get that damage. For any other hero like utility or healers, only get enough to get those turn cooldown reductions. Or if it has some kind of effect chance modifier, I forgot that one, you probably also want the effect chance modifiers. But for healers and utility heroes, ignore skill ups where it's just something like damage dealt. You don't want to worry about that. Now, in terms of what heroes to Mola, that's a very impossible question because it changes on a monthly basis as new heroes come out. My best advice is to YouTube or go on one of those Twitcher people's sites and find the most recent tier list and basically cross-reference that. If you draft or pull a new hero that you really like, just look at a recent tier list and say, hey, is this hero on that tier list? If it isn't, do not build that unit. But keep in mind that those are all tier lists are generally PvP tier lists. Tamarin is something you should definitely build. Sigrid is something you should definitely build. In terms of PvE, most of the heroes you need, you probably don't need molas because, again, 3-star units don't need molas. And you could probably get all the way up to like Abyss 100 using nothing but F2P units. So you'll be pretty progressed by then without having potentially wasted molas. Let's move on to the next topic. Alright, so now let's talk about how to min-max mola use. So we kind of talked about it a little bit. A big part of that is not wasting molas on, getting damage mods on utility heroes and stuff. But there is one thing I want to talk about that brand new players might not know. So you're going to notice there's this thing called friendship, right? And you're going to notice I'm just very popular. A lot of people love me. They're all my best friends. But the thing is, when you get to 10 friendships, so basically to get friendship, you just have to use the hero. Or here you can give them this new thing that recently came out called gifts, and it boosts their friendship rating. But the thing is that once you get to 10 friendship, you basically get 3 Molagoras for free. So if they're plus 15 already, they just give you 3 Molagoras. But if they're not plus 15, basically you get free points to use. Like if we look here, just so I could show you the icon, it looks like this. These skill points are not transferable to any other unit. You can only use it on this hero. So what you can do is if you're trying to save molas, instead of wasting your molas, which are never recoverable, once you use your mola, you can never get it back, at least so far in this game. So if you have a unit where, let's say this is a perfect example. Let's say this is a utility unit and you don't care about doing damage with this hero, and all you want is this one turn cooldown. It would take you 3 Molagoras to get there, right? Or you can farm up to Friendship 10, and then for 0 Molas, you can use these given skill points and get to that -1 cooldown and use the hero to 90% of its ability without investing a single Molagora. And I've done that with a lot of my heroes, where they'll be +3 because I didn't want to put any molas into them, but I wanted them to be usable and get that turn cooldown or whatever it is. So I just farmed them on Friendship. When you're doing Adventure or something, it's easy. You just stick that random unit on your team, and there will be artifacts that increase the Friendship gained. You just equip them on one of those Friendship artifacts and just ignore it and just keep them there forever until they have +10 Friendship. And you have 3 Molagoras for free, and you didn't have to spend a dime to get it. And, 3 Molagoras doesn't sound like a lot, but when you do this with like 10, 20 heroes, that starts adding up over time and ends up being like an entire hero you could have +15'd. So anyways, I don't think there's anything more to talk about on this topic, but just to recap, in Epic 7 as a new player, the only big mistake you can possibly make is screwing up your molas and wasting your molas. So other than that, you can just kind of chill and relax. Don't stress about missables. Don't stress about dying. There's no real penalty for dying in this game. If you mess up your gear, mess up what you 6-starred, all of that is going to be very, very easy to recover from. But Molagoras, if you screw it up, if you blow 100 molas on heroes that you never use again, your account is going to be in a very bad state. So always do a good amount of research before investing these little, I don't even know what they look like weed-looking butt potatoes. Be very mindful about how you use these because they are by far the most important resource in the game and you don't want to waste them. So anyways, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. I hope I've enlightened you on the only mistake really that you shouldn't make in this game. And till next time, peace out, boys.